Hey everybody, how are you doing? This is Kirsten here, and welcome back to the new episode of the Balanced Vibes podcast. Today we're going to talk about diet fatigue and also what to do if you are in this place where you're like, I'm so tired, I've done so many, I'm exhausted, I just feel like I don't want to see another single thing about any new diet, and I'm just so tired of all of it. And I totally understand that a lot of people can get to this place where they're just so depleted because they've done one thing after another. And even if one thing worked for a little while, then it stopped working. And then they did the next thing. And the result was unfortunately always the same. And the truth is that when we do a lot of diets, with every diet that reduces our calories, with every diet like this, we actually reduce our metabolic rate. And that's why getting results gets harder and harder and harder. It's also common in, let's say, bodybuilding, right? So I don't think too many of you have done a bodybuilding show, and I haven't either, but I know people who have. And this is exactly how they describe this. You get into your first show, right? And you reduce your calories. And of course, you lift weights and you also do cardio. So everything goes really well and you get in this prime peak shape and everything is awesome, and you step on the stage and you are in the best shape of your life and you can see every muscle, every definition, all of that. And then after that show they do the next one, and then that one is going to take a little bit more work to get to work, but it still works, right? They can still get in shape. And it really depends on how much they depleted themselves during these preparations. But the harder the depletion was, the bigger the calorie deficit was, and the harder the cardio was, and all that, the less results they get with every show that they do. And eventually, they may get to the point, many people do. Of course, there are better ways to do this also, but many people who have been very extreme with this get to the point where the body just doesn't respond anymore. And I understand, like I said, I know that most of you here who are listening or watching are probably not bodybuilders and maybe not ever have stepped on the stage to be judged, have their body judged by actual judges, right? No, you are not bodybuilders, most of you, but it's the same idea. When you do a lot of diets, it literally is the same idea. And like I said, the more you do, the harder it gets. Every single time you reduce your calories, you're actually teaching your body to operate on less, right? You have to you have to be able to do everything that the body is supposed to do, like producing hormones and keeping your muscles healthy, your joint healthy, your heart healthy, your lungs, and like all the systems healthy. Like, you're asking your body to do it with less resources. And this is where we start running into so many issues, hormonal issues, and we feel like crap. And the more of it we do and we don't recover in between, then the harder it gets to get more results later on. And that's why people can get to the point of diet fatigue. They are just doing one diet after another. They completely deplete their bodies and they're not taking breaks. So the way I coach is that when we do a diet phase, then after that, I'm going to let you recover. You're going to have to recover. That's why we do the reverse diet. You're going to reverse out of what you have been doing with the deficit. And then you stay there and you let your body heal and recover. And also, this is pretty much the same thing as the build-up phase that I talk about all the time when people come to me and want to start losing fat, and I look at their calorie intake and it's nowhere near to where it should be, then they need to do the build-up phase. This is essentially the same thing. So healing, preparation, repairing, so that the body can be healthy again. But now, if you have never taken these breaks and you have been like ongoing dieting cycle for years, which unfortunately is not uncommon, then it's going to be super. It's very, very common to feel like so depleted and you just don't want to do anything. You're like, I'm done. And I absolutely understand that, because it is fatiguing. It's physically also tiring, right? You probably feel like you just don't have any energy in your body, but also mentally and emotionally. So mentally, it's like, why am I doing this? Like, nothing is working anymore. I'm tired. And emotionally, you feel like shit because you have been trying so many different things. And every time you try something new, it's not working. You're getting worse results. Your health is going worse. So this is so common. And also, the fact that you're not getting results anymore, it is frustrating. you're like, what the heck? I'm doing the work, right? I'm just ketoing over here super perfectly. And why is nothing happening anymore? Or I'm like fasting longer and longer and longer. Why is nothing happening anymore? Oh, I guess I have to go vegan now. Why is that not working? You will get to the place. Like the more you diet, the more you get to the place, and then to get to this place, and then eventually like nothing's working. I'm not getting results. So another side of the story can be that a lot of people then wake up eventually to the fact that what they have been doing is really damaging, and then they kind of become like get really hard on themselves. They start beating themselves up for not knowing any better. But let me tell you, there's nothing to do about that right now, right? What's done is done. What we can do now is start repairing, right? So let's say that you are learning now that going super low calories and doing fasting at the same time is really not a good idea, especially for female hormones and especially for women who are getting the menstrual cycles or fertile age. It is bad, yes, but what can we do about it? So now we can just, change the direction and go in the opposite direction and start healing the body. There's really no point in beating yourself up for, things that you didn't know. So don't panic if you, have done stuff like that. Don't panic. We can still heal. You can still get better. But what would I then say to a person like this who are going through this like diet fatigue, is absolutely exhausted, burnt out physically, mentally, emotionally? I will tell you one thing: you need a break. You need a break. And you need to switch your mindset. Even if you are right now with your body, you are in a place of like catastrophe, right? I just can't. Like I've gained so much. I feel so uncomfortable, because you probably know that also doing too many diets can eventually lead you weight gain actually. And you're in a place where you're just like, I don't like, I just have to go on another diet because I'm so unhappy with my body. I still tell you that you need to take a break from diet. You just can't do it. And what you need to fully focus on in this situation and fully commit to is, instead of dieting and losing weight and losing fat, you need to focus on two things: nourishing and strengthening, right? Keep that in mind: nourishing and strengthening. And I'm over here giving you the permission that if you have been on this diet roller coaster, however you've done it, whatever the diets are that you've been doing, if you've been on this roller coaster for years now, then you need to stop, step off, get out of that cycle, and start nourishing your body and strengthening your body. And take complete focus off from any diets. Just tell yourself I'm not going to look at it right now. I don't care what my neighbor's doing or my sister's doing. Sometimes I hear people saying like, oh, but all my friends are taking these weight loss shots. No, don't take a weight loss shot. If you have been dieting so much, you dieted yourself to a corner, you're completely fatigued. Don't do that, because the weight loss shot or whatever the next diet, it's not going to nourish or strengthen you. That's what we want in this situation where you are completely depleted. And when you're listening to this right now, think, is this you? Am I describing you? Lots of diets, and also a lot of times overtraining. A lot of times overtraining too. You just feel like you cannot take a break. You feel guilty. You feel bad. You feel shame when you take a break. You feel like, oh my God, my muscle's going to fall off. Oh my God, I'm going to put on 5 pounds overnight. And oh, this is going to happen. This is the same advice for you. You need a break too, right? So two things: nourish and strengthen your body. And not only your body. So actually what I want you to focus on nourishing and strengthening is your physical health, your emotional health, and also your mental health. All three things, because this stuff is not just physical. This is not only about how your body is responding to this complete depletion that you've been doing maybe over however many years. There's a huge mental and emotional component there too. And so I want to give you a couple of tools that I think would be helpful if you find yourself in this place, how you can then start going in a different direction, going towards the direction of nourishing and strengthening your body. So let's talk about the physical first, right? What you eat should be, the goal should be to nourish my body. I want to give my body what it has been missing, right? What's been lacking in my diet? Sometimes it's just very generically calories. You just need more calories. If you've always been on this low calorie diet, keeping like between 1,000, 1,400, 1,500 calories, this is too low. Even if it hasn't been intentional, sometimes it happens that people are just so busy. Sometimes I've worked with people who are like, I just don't have the time to sit down because I'm just like driving my kids around all day long. Well, then you haven't really nourished your body, even if it was unintentional. You were not dieting, but the end result was the same. You were constantly in these high stress states, and you haven't taken the time to feed your body. Then now you just have to start making some room for it and eat nourishing foods. What is it that your body has been missing? Is it calories? Most of the time, calories for sure. A lot of times, it's also certain macronutrients. So we know that low carb is super popular, right? And if you, for example, get frequent sugar cravings, that can very, very often be the problem can be that you haven't given yourself enough carbohydrates. It can also be that your protein has been really low, but yeah, low calories in general too. So you need all three macronutrients. I've also seen people with very low fat. They come to me, they're eating 40 grams of fat. And I'm like, what are you doing here? Like your hormones are starving. You need more. So we need to increase your fat intake. If you get severe cravings for like super fatty foods and you find yourself like, oh, I should binge on nut butters. Nut butters is like one of the things that people tend to binge on. That also says that your body is just undernourished. It needs this like satiated feeling and it hasn't received any of it lately. So you have to think, what are the things that my body needs? What have I been depriving it of? And you need a variety of foods, I believe. I don't think that like joining another diet, it's almost like a cult sometimes, is the solution. Like, let me be carnivore now, or let me be vegan now. You're still going to miss a lot of things. I believe that most people do best when they eat a variety. They eat a mixed diet. They eat animal proteins. They eat lots of vegetables. They eat some grains. They eat some dairy if they can tolerate it. So it's a mixed thing. It shouldn't be like, let me jump on another, like I don't know, almost, yeah, like I said, almost like a cult thing and see what that can do for me. No, it shouldn't be that way. You have to give your body what it really needs, and that's a variety of foods. Of course, if you have any allergies or intolerances, I'm never going to ask you to eat those things, right? If you have like nut allergy, don't start eating nuts because you have this food freedom now. Be reasonable, be mindful about it. And also, don't like necessarily go overboard, meaning that, well, this is more like when I worked with, for many, many years, I worked actually with women who had lost their periods because of overtraining, under eating. And a lot of them had received a message that they should just eat like whatever they want in any amounts of any quantities, and just also like the severe overeating was almost encouraged. So this is not what I would encourage to do. I would say, if you notice that you feel something, like you need something, you have a craving, and you haven't really had this food, you have always limited and restricted, you can have that. It's okay to have that, but it also doesn't mean that now you're just going to eat like only donuts or only ice cream all day long, because we're looking for balance. We're looking for nourishment. And if you're only starting to all of a sudden eat like all the like pastries and sweets and treats and stuff like that, then we're off balance again, right? So nourishment, what does that look like? Variety of foods, like I said, fruits, vegetables, animal proteins, a little bit of sweets if you like honey and dates. Those are totally fine. Dairy, I think, is great. And just like let go of these like restrictions and like living in this like box of that has like a diet name on it. You can let go of that. Just make sure that you put together a balanced plate and eat 3, 4, maybe 5 times a day, so that you can give yourself everything that you need. And also stop that 16+ hour fasting. Why is that there for? Like, why are we doing this? All these stories that, you will I don't know, for your cell health, cellular health, and you're giving your metabolism a break and all that. But also, what about our liver that has about only 8 hours of glucose stored in it? So if you don't eat like the 16+ hours, or even do the 24-hour fast, and you do those things frequently, what's starting to happen there? So you have to pay attention to these things too, not just like go along with whatever like a random diet says and seems so true. A lot of times the stuff is not true. It's not true. So physical that was a part one. So eat to nourish your body. If you are going through this like diet fatigue, and be reasonable, put together balanced plates, eat until you feel satiated. If tracking works for you, do it. I think it's great. A lot of people feel like it gives them the freedom and gives them the knowledge, like what to even look for, because they don't know even what balanced plate looks like. So it can be helpful, but I know that is not for everybody. Some people just are so fatigued and they cannot do it, and they just need to let go from tracking. But then in this case, people could use things like hand measurements. They could, use the palm size for like protein. Okay, this is how much protein I'm gonna eat. They can use like cup size, like fist size of carbohydrates, and then cupped hands for leafy greens, and then a little bit of fat. So that can work better for people. So I'm not saying that everybody has to be tracking, but I do have a lot of clients who are tracking and actually are finding some freedom in it, because now they're actually eating more, and without tracking they would be eating less, and they wouldn't be nourishing their bodies. All right, so let's then talk about the next part, where I would like you to implement this nourish and strengthen part, is your emotional health, right? So if you're feeling like shit about yourself because you haven't been able to receive the results that you want to get, and you feel less than, and you're like, how come everybody else is getting these amazing results and I don't? And it just makes you really sad, maybe makes you frustrated, sometimes makes you angry. You know what? The best thing to do about these feelings is just to feel them. Like, don't try to suppress them or block them. It's all valid. It's all valid if you feel this way. So what you do is just, get yourself into a calm state and let them just bubble up however they want to bubble up. Um, so you can also look up on YouTube things like emotional tracking, like how to start feeling these things in your body, because they definitely are there. I am pretty sure that you are feeling frustration, sadness, anger, disappointment, and these things show up in the body sometimes. So I just want you to become a little bit more aware and let them just to come up, and that's the way to deal with them, because there's nothing bad in feeling this way. It's normal. Like, having feelings is human. So feel them. It's okay. And then we want to get back to this calm state and understand that, okay, I'm gonna nourish myself again. I'm gonna like do my best that I can to kind of give my body what it needs. Emotions are normal. I don't have to block them. I don't have to fight them. And I can, I want to build this like healthy life, and this is part of it. And so the mental strength, which is the last part I want to talk about, is just becoming aware, like, what kind of information are you letting into your brain? Like, what are you doing? Are you still searching for all the diets out there? Are you still like comparing yourself to either your friends or people on Instagram, or the past version of yourself? What are you doing? Are you comparing? So stop all that. Stop doing it. So if you need to, delete your app or get rid of some of the people who you are following there, it's not worth it. And instead, tell yourself that, okay, wherever I am right now, I can get better. If I take this approach of nourishing and strengthening myself, like physically, emotionally, and mentally too, I will get better. I will get to a much more balanced place, where I can feel well. And it doesn't come from like comparing yourself with others. That's usually not a good idea. It's not going to give you that peace of mind. So mentally, also, you can even just send yourself like messages of like, it's okay, I'm fine. Like, wherever I am right now, it's okay. I think it's really important to say that, to kind of high five yourself, because a lot of times we don't see that we are, we're doing fine. It's not the end of the world really where we are right now. And just tell yourself that it's going to be okay. If I focus on healing, if I focus on strengthening, if I focus on nourishing, it's going to take time, but I'm going to feel a lot better. And then at some point, you may be ready to kind of carefully start like reducing your calories or finding like a way to change your body composition. But I will say that a lot of times also, when you just get that pressure off you, and this is also what I've seen with many of my clients who are going through a reverse, the weight actually starts coming down from that reduction of stress. And right now, one of my ladies comes to mind, who just needed to give herself this like break from like constantly trying to stay in a deficit, and she was kind of hard on herself, and she was getting miserable because all that happened was she was gaining weight, and then it was the emotional part of like, I'm worse than others and what's going on, I'm doing everything so diligently and it's not working. So she came to me and we started to just like calm down. I told her from the beginning that this is going to take time. I know you're not happy with your weight and with your size right now, but this is going to take some time until we get your physical body nourished and you're able to kind of let go of stress. It's going to take several months until we build up your calories to a healthy place. You're going to relax. You're going to stop the HIIT training, which she did not love at all. You're going to stop doing that. And then guess what has happened? She is feeling so much better. She's telling me that she's feeling so much more peaceful and she's eating a lot more. And she is down a significant amount of weight. I think right now in 6 weeks, she's down like, and I know that sounds crazy. She also had a higher starting point, but she's down over 10 pounds from increasing her calories. So her starting weight was something 230. And now just this reduction of like, oh, okay, I can take a break. I don't have to go and do intense workouts. I don't have to beat myself up. I can just do 3 workouts a week. I'm gonna nourish my body, eating healthy things, increasing my calories a little bit, and also resting more. This is another thing, and this what also came out from my 21-day challenge that I did recently, my Fit and Fuel Facebook group, which, by the way, you're welcome to join as well. One lady in the challenge told me that the biggest thing for her was that she was allowed to rest more. And I asked, what do you mean? And she said, it's like with workouts, because what I asked to do during this program and what most of my clients are doing is to do 3 strength workouts a week and then walk the other days. I recommend they hit 10,000 steps, but it depends on the person's starting point. If they're currently taking only 4,000, then it doesn't have to be 10,000 immediately. But the idea was 3 workouts a week, and then the other days we're taking 10,000 steps. And she said it was such a relief for her that she didn't have to like do so much. Like she didn't have to go to the gym every day and do intense stuff. And she said she got like so much like emotional relief from it that, oh, I don't have to push so hard. Okay, that's actually nice. And she started feeling better. And she also has lost weight. So the stress has a lot to do with all of it. I know people only talk about like, or often talk about the physical part of it, like the calories and macros and workouts. Yeah, absolutely. It's super important. But if you constantly put yourself under the stress, and you are choosing to do this. It may not seem like this, but you actually are. If you are beating yourself up, being super hard on yourself, if you're comparing, if you're judging yourself, if you're being super hard on yourself, if you're asking yourself to be perfect, that's all stress. And that's really hard for your body to relax in the situation. And now coming back to the beginning, if you are in this chronic diet cycle, you're fatigued physically, and now you add all this mental, emotional stuff on top of that. This is not a place where your body should be. You're this chronically high elevated stress state, and we need to get you out of there. So you need a break. You need to fully and completely commit to nourishing and strengthening your body in all these three different ways. And over time, you're going to start feeling more balanced. And this is when maybe there might be a time to reduce and like take a gentle approach to weight loss, fat loss. But to think that if you're already like in a dieting cycle, that you're going to have to jump on the next diet that's going to decrease your calories even more, this is not what you want to do, because it's not going to give you the result that you wanted. Okay. So I hope that this was helpful for you. Stop the dieting cycle. It's not worth it. Make sure that you're healthy, also physically, mentally, emotionally. Notice what you're taking in, not only food wise, but what kind of information you're consuming. Notice what kind of feelings you're feeling. Feel them. It's okay. It's normal. It's human. And then commit to fully, recovering, nourishing, strengthening. All right. This is my message for you today. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you again in the next episode.